Hello, everybody out there all across the internets and the world. How are you? My name is Monica Gilliam, and I'm a Talk to the Entities certified facilitator and an Access Consciousness certified facilitator. And today I'm going to talk to you about Talk to the Entities, which is a specialty in Access Consciousness that has changed my life, made my life so much greater. And one of the big ways that that has occurred has been that Talk to the Entities has really invited me to be aware of what I'm aware of, even if nobody else seems to be aware of it. Talking to the entities, there's so much that comes up for people with that. Like, what are entities? This is scary, all sorts of superstitions, stuff like that. But for me, it has been such an invitation to go ahead and turn my attention to everything, even the things that seem taboo or seem scary or seem like you're not supposed to be aware of it. There's so much that I grew up with in my culture that made the idea of what happens after you die seem like this mystical thing that I could not really be in touch with. I had to just have faith about heaven or, everybody's different philosophies rather than actually being aware of what I was aware of. And choosing to go ahead and be aware of what I'm aware of has taken a certain amount of courage that the tools of Talk to the Entities have really made so much easier. They are so pragmatic and simple in a way. I've already been practicing talking. Sometimes I'm better at it than other times, but I know what it is to engage with something, with someone, with the body, and beginning to play with talking to everything, whether I can clearly see its shape or it's just something that I'm kind of aware of, but don't necessarily have a definition for. Just the kind of choice to go ahead and talk to everything has really created a sense of relaxation in my body and a trust in myself to know that I can talk to anything. And what shows up, well, that has been so amazing. So, when I first came across the tools of Talk to the Entities, I was living in New Orleans. And if you have read the Talk to the Entities book, which I highly recommend, you may read some things about the entity activity in New Orleans, which is quite loud. There are a lot of people who are really actively engaging with entities in terms of like voodoo and some of the other spiritual traditions of all sorts of different cultures. And so there's a lot of communication that's going on with entities, and some of it has a lot of significance and a lot of kind of ritual to it. And so the entities there are very active. And when I first moved there, I noticed this beauty and richness to New Orleans that seemed like the kind of hidden magic of the place. You could ask for something and all sorts of things would show up. And sometimes they were really fun, and sometimes they were pretty weird and not so fun. There are a lot of people who love to use a lot of drugs there, and so sometimes there's this kind of twisted energy. And I had someone come into my acupuncture clinic at that time who was suffering from being very aware. She had an experience when she turned 30 or so, where all of a sudden she started hearing things and seeing things, and she thought she was crazy. And so she got all sorts of brain scanning done, and she was on a lot of different medication, but it wasn't stopping her awareness. And she would come into my clinic and just be really anxious and start to describe everything that was going on with everybody else in the clinic. So for me, that was a huge sign of, oh, this person is aware. This isn't a made up psychosis. This is a sensitivity that she doesn't know what to do with. And she began to describe to me what she would like for her life, that she just wanted to go live in a small town where she didn't really have to see anybody and she could just work a lot and kind of try to separate herself from living in a way, from having to be aware. And she was such a beautiful creature that for me, that was just like, oh, gosh, I wish something else for her. But what is it? Here's somebody who is suffering from being aware. I know what it's like to be aware and not know what to do with that. What tools can I find to offer to her that might assist her? And as I was asking that, talk to the entities kind of came into my world. And I thought, I'll just try these tools out. And if they work for me, I'll introduce them to her. And so I just started clearing, communicating, trying to receive, playing with all of the tools of talk to the entities. And I didn't even really know if I was doing it right. I kind of would just go into a space and try everything. Any talk to the entities tool, I would try that. And it was amazing. Like it opened something up in my world that had been stuck for a while that I didn't know how to address. And it, as I mentioned before, it required that I go ahead and trust myself, know that, oh, I'm in this room and it feels kind of creepy. Okay, I'm going to try some things and see if that changes anything. And it did. And so then I introduced that to this woman who had been coming into my clinic, and it created so much more space for her too. And now, how she was using those tools versus how I was using those tools may have been incredibly different. And that's like such a cool part of Talk to the Entities, that you don't have to use the tools correctly. There's not like a one size fits all way of going about this, that you get to play with all of this and see what it creates in your world. And I saw so much change in my world and with her that I was like, "Ah, I would love everybody to have these. These tools have made such an impact in my sense of just relaxation and confidence that I could go into any situation and be present with the kind of creepy stuff and make choices and have a voice in the swirling energies." And I thought about my childhood and all of the things that I had been aware of that nobody had been able to assist me with, how to move with my awareness through growing up, which is confusing and tumultuous in its own way. And so, with this sense of like, I would love everybody in the world to have these tools, then I chose to become a Talk to the Entities facilitator. And facilitating entities constantly facilitates me, choose. I find requires that I grow to meet whatever it is that I'm talking to, whether that's a person on the street or my business or the plants in my garden or some other energy that has the sense of being an entity that doesn't have a specific shape and form that is recognizable. Every time I engage with anything, I get to step into being, and that's been fun. And so I just would love to or in the future, what is it that you have always been aware of that you didn't necessarily know how to deal with? And what if you could have ease with your own awareness, regardless of what you're aware of, regardless of what anybody else may have to say about what you're aware of? Just for you, what contribution could that be in your life with how you walk down the street? I mean, the possibilities for ease as we acknowledge all beings is exciting. And from all of my journeys with Talk to the Entities, one thing that has been the most exciting for me has been getting to talk to the spirits of the earth, the consciousness of the earth. There are so many generous beings in this world that you may not have been talking to, that are here, that are living with us, that are creating this planet and this world with us, that you can go ahead and say hello to. And all of the ways that everybody hears their hellos in response may be very different. And the gift of you is the difference of you, is the way that you are engaging with the world. What if you actually could allow yourself to have the space to talk to the world, not from, this sense of like, what do I need to avoid or what do I need to just cope with, but from, hi, what's here? What's available for me to engage with that maybe I never knew was possible? Is that a tree down the street that you can just take a moment to say hello to? Is that, your great grandmother who has passed away and just is hanging out to say, hey, I love you? Or is it something that's a little creepy that you could just say, hey, go ahead and go? you know, if you allow yourself to talk to the entities, as weird as that may sound, as exciting as that may sound, what if that could actually add to the richness of your experience of living? Are you willing to make that choice to grow into you, being a conscious, contributing part of the universe, acknowledging and playing with everything? There are so many Talk to the Entities facilitators around the world. There are a bunch of tools, the different Talk to the Entities Facebook groups and Instagram and YouTube sites. They all have so many tools for you. You can go out and explore as much as you would like to, and know that this is something that is available for you, partially because we know what a gift you are to the world and your voice is to the conversation. Would you allow yourself to be part of it and to know that you are warmly invited? So, whatever it is that this can contribute to you today, thank you for receiving. And thank you for being the gift that you are. I hope to meet you at some point. I look forward to discovering what else changes in the world as more and more people choose to talk to the entities. Thank you so much for your presence, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.